In this video, you'll hear 100 common English questions and answers, spoken at a natural pace. After each answer, practice speaking along. Try to copy the speaker's rhythm and pronunciation as best you can. Let's get started.
What's something you always do before bed?
I always make sure to write down my tasks for the next day. It helps me clear my mind and sleep better. Then I might read a few pages of a book to relax. This routine only takes a few minutes, but it sets me up for a more organized and restful night.
What's your strategy for saving up for a big purchase?
I start by setting a clear goal and timeline. Then I break it down into monthly or weekly savings targets. I automate transfers to a dedicated account so I don't have to remember to do it. If possible, I also cut back on small luxuries. Watching the balance grow motivates me to stay disciplined.
How do you handle pet-related emergencies?
I keep a list of emergency contacts, including a nearby 24-hour vet clinic. I also have a basic pet first aid kit with items like bandages and antiseptic wipes. Staying calm is crucial because pets can sense panic. If something happens, I call the vet first to get professional advice. Quick action can make a big difference.
What's your favorite type of online content to watch?
I love short tutorial videos that teach practical skills. Whether it's cooking techniques or DIY home repairs, watching someone demonstrate step-by-step instructions is easier for me than reading a guide. It's also fun to see before and after transformations. I can pause or replay sections if I miss something. This format suits my visual learning style.
How do you handle unexpected expenses?
I keep an emergency fund in a separate savings account. When something unexpected happens, like a car repair, I use that money. It prevents me from relying on credit or stressing about how to cover costs. Afterward, I work on rebuilding the fund. This approach gives me peace of mind, knowing I'm ready for surprises.
Do you keep in touch with childhood friends?
Yes, we try to catch up a few times a year, either through video calls or by meeting up if we're in the same city. We reminisce about old memories and share updates on our current lives. Even though we've grown older and live apart, maintaining that connection helps keep those special bonds alive.
Do you prefer traveling alone or in a group?
Sometimes I enjoy the freedom of solo travel, where I can follow my own schedule. However, traveling in a group is fun for shared experiences and splitting costs. I think both options have advantages. Solo travel helps me reflect and grow, while group travel offers camaraderie. I usually decide based on the destination and my mood.
What's something you always pack for a trip?
I never travel without a small notebook and pen. I like to jot down interesting observations, local phrases, or sketch sites that inspire me. It's also handy for recording travel details like addresses or train schedules. Having a physical record of my journey feels more personal than digital notes. It becomes a keepsake of memories.
What's a skill you'd like to improve for your career?
I'd like to become more proficient at public speaking. It's a valuable skill that can benefit any career, from leading team meetings to presenting at conferences. To improve, I practice speaking in front of friends or record myself to identify areas for growth. Over time, I hope to build confidence and clarity in my presentations.
What tools help you stay organized?
I rely on a combination of a digital calendar and a to-do app. The calendar captures events and deadlines, while the to-do list tracks daily tasks. I also keep a physical notebook for brainstorming ideas. Each tool serves a specific purpose, helping me stay clear on priorities. By regularly updating them, I ensure nothing slips through the cracks.
Have you made any major lifestyle changes for your health?
Yes, I reduced my late-night snacking and started planning my meals in advance. It was challenging at first, but it made a huge difference in my energy levels. I also prioritize quality sleep by following a consistent bedtime. These changes might seem small, but they significantly improved my overall well-being.
Do you have a role model who inspires you?
Yes, my aunt has always been my inspiration. She overcame many obstacles in her life, yet remained compassionate and generous. Her resilience and positivity motivate me to stay strong when I face challenges. Whenever I'm uncertain about a decision, I think of how she might handle it. That perspective often encourages me to persevere.
Have you tried time blocking? What's your experience?
Yes, I allocate specific blocks of time for certain tasks, like emails or project work. It helps me avoid multitasking, which can reduce quality. If I stick to the schedule, I find I accomplish more in less time. However, it requires discipline and flexibility if unexpected events arise. Overall, it's an effective method for structured productivity.
How do you stay updated on current events?
I browse a few reputable news websites each morning to catch headlines. For more in-depth coverage, I check podcasts or online articles during my commute. I avoid excessive scrolling on social media for news, since it can be overwhelming. By limiting my sources, I get reliable information without feeling bombarded by constant updates.
How do you handle leftovers?
I like to reinvent leftovers into a new meal. For example, extra roasted vegetables can go into a soup or wrap. Leftover rice can become fried rice with some eggs and vegetables. Adding fresh herbs or a sauce can change the flavor completely. It's economical, reduces waste, and makes cooking more creative.
How do you choose decorations for your home?
I gravitate toward items that have personal meaning or evoke happy memories. I also consider the color scheme and style I want, aiming for a cohesive look. Thrift stores and local markets can offer unique decor pieces. It's fun to mix new and vintage items. Over time, I refine the space as I discover what truly resonates.
Have you ever switched careers? What was it like?
Yes, I transitioned from marketing to human resources. It was exciting and scary at the same time. I had to learn new systems and strategies, but my communication and problem-solving skills helped me adapt. The biggest challenge was overcoming my fear of the unknown. Looking back, I'm glad I made the leap because it broadened my experiences.
How do you deal with household chores you dislike?
I schedule them for a specific time so I can mentally prepare, and I play music or listen to an audiobook while doing them. Sometimes I reward myself afterward, like having a nice snack. If it's a big job, I might break it into smaller tasks or share it with roommates. Turning chores into manageable steps helps me push through.
What's your strategy for overcoming procrastination?
I start by tackling the task in small increments, like 5 or 10 minutes. Often, just beginning helps me build momentum. I also remove distractions, such as closing social media tabs. Setting a timer for focused work periods, followed by short breaks, keeps me motivated. Rewarding myself afterward encourages positive habits. It's a battle, but it's worth it.
Have you ever taken a class or course to improve communication?
Yes, I enrolled in a public speaking workshop last year. We practiced structuring speeches, controlling vocal tone, and using body language effectively. It was nerve-wracking to speak in front of strangers, but the feedback helped me grow. Now, I'm more confident when speaking up in meetings or presenting ideas to a group.
How do you manage public speaking nerves?
I prepare thoroughly by rehearsing my speech multiple times. I also practice relaxation techniques, like deep breathing, beforehand. Sometimes I visualize a successful presentation to build confidence. During the speech, I focus on one friendly face to ease my anxiety. Accepting a bit of nervousness as normal helps me channel that energy into enthusiasm.
How do you manage deadlines when you have multiple projects?
I list all my projects and sort them by priority and timeline. Then I create smaller, manageable tasks for each. I set interim deadlines to track progress and stay on schedule. Checking in regularly helps me adjust if something takes longer than expected. Breaking large goals into smaller steps reduces stress and keeps me organized.
Do you have a cooking tip you swear by?
One tip I swear by is to always taste your food as you cook. Adjust the seasonings gradually, whether it's salt, pepper, or herbs. You can avoid over-seasoning and make sure the flavors develop correctly. It also helps you learn about different spices and how they work together. This simple habit improves almost any dish.
How do you deal with distractions when working?
I often use noise-cancelling headphones or find a quiet spot. I also turn off unnecessary notifications on my phone. If my mind wanders, I jot down the intrusive thought on a notepad and return to it later. Breaking tasks into manageable chunks helps too. Over time, creating a distraction-free environment becomes a habit that boosts productivity.
How do you keep online communication respectful?
I avoid typing when I'm upset because it's easy to misinterpret tone in text. I read messages twice before sending, ensuring they reflect the tone I intend. If a topic is sensitive, I might switch to a phone call for clarity. Keeping emojis or polite language can also reduce misunderstandings. Ultimately, I treat online exchanges like face-to-face conversations.
What do you do if you feel stuck in life?
I often start by changing my environment, like working from a cafe or visiting a museum to spark inspiration. Then I reflect on my goals and reassess whether they're still aligned with my values. Sometimes I talk to mentors or friends to gain new perspectives. Feeling stuck can be a sign that it's time for change or growth.
What do you do when you feel too tired to exercise?
I try gentle stretching or a short walk instead of a full workout. Sometimes just moving a little helps me feel better. If I'm truly exhausted, I'll focus on rest and recovery, ensuring I get enough sleep and proper nutrition. Pushing myself too hard can lead to injury or burnout, so balance is important.
What do you think makes someone a good listener?
A good listener gives undivided attention, maintains eye contact, and avoids interrupting. They ask clarifying questions and summarize what they heard to ensure understanding. Most importantly, they listen without judgment or jumping to solutions too quickly. Being present and showing genuine interest helps the speaker feel heard and respected.
What do you do if you sleep in and wake up late?
If I oversleep, I quickly decide which tasks are most urgent. I skip any unnecessary activities, like checking social media too long. I may grab a quick breakfast or pack a snack to eat later. It's all about adapting and remaining calm. Worrying only wastes more time, so I focus on making the best of the remaining morning.
How do you pick the next skill to learn?
I usually think about what could help me either personally or professionally. Sometimes I identify a weak area that needs improvement, like writing or public speaking. Other times, I explore something entirely new, such as a foreign language. I try to balance practicality with curiosity. That way, learning remains both useful and enjoyable.
How do you share your hobbies with friends?
I like to invite friends to try them with me. If I'm baking, I'll ask them to join me in the kitchen and share tips. If I'm exploring a new game, I'll organize a small gathering so we can learn together. It's more fun when you turn a personal interest into a shared experience.
What's a personal goal you're working towards?
I'm currently focused on developing better communication skills. I want to express my ideas more confidently in group settings. To reach this goal, I'm reading books on effective speaking and practicing with friends. It's challenging, but every small improvement feels like progress. I believe clear communication opens doors in both personal and professional relationships.
How often do you take breaks during the day?
I take short breaks every couple of hours. It might be a quick stretch or a few sips of water. Stepping away from work briefly helps me regain focus and prevent burnout. It's amazing how even a tiny break can reset your mind. Consistency is key, so I try to schedule them throughout the day.
What's the key to giving constructive feedback?
Being specific and focusing on behavior, not the person. I state what I observed, explain the impact, and suggest possible improvements. Also, balancing negative points with positive feedback makes it more receptive. People appreciate solutions, not just criticism. I use a respectful tone and genuinely aim to help. Constructive feedback should encourage growth and understanding.
What's the most important thing to consider before getting a pet?
I believe the biggest factor is whether you have the time and resources to care for an animal properly. Pets need attention, exercise, and medical checkups. Researching the specific breed or species also matters. If you're unsure, fostering or volunteering at a shelter can be a great way to gauge your readiness before making a long-term commitment.
Do you like indoor activities or outdoor adventures?
I enjoy a balance of both. Indoor activities like board games or crafting can be cozy and fun, but I also appreciate outdoor adventures such as hiking or cycling. It depends on my mood and the weather. Having options helps me stay active and never bored. Variety keeps life interesting and fulfilling.
Do you involve your pets in your daily routine?
Yes, I like to incorporate play sessions or walks into my schedule. Feeding times are also consistent, which helps them feel secure. Sometimes I'll relax with them by my side while reading or watching TV. Including pets in everyday activities strengthens our bond. It also ensures they get enough mental stimulation and attention throughout the day.
What's your trick for keeping your home tidy?
I follow a clean-as-you-go approach. If I finish a meal, I immediately wash the dishes. If I notice clutter on a table, I put things back right away. This way, messes don't pile up. A small amount of daily maintenance saves me from spending hours cleaning on weekends. Consistency is the key to a neat home.
Have you tried any money-saving challenges?
Yes, I tried a no-spend weekend challenge. I planned free activities, like visiting a local park or having a movie night at home. It forced me to be creative without spending money. After a few weekends, I realized how much I could save with small lifestyle changes. It's a fun way to reset bad spending habits.
What advice would you give to first-time pet owners?
Learn as much as you can about the specific needs of your chosen pet, from nutrition to exercise requirements. Set realistic expectations and be prepared for training challenges. Patience and consistency are vital for building trust. It's also important to budget for routine vet care and emergencies. A loving, supportive environment can help your pet thrive.
How do you introduce a new pet to your household?
I start by giving them a quiet, safe space to settle in, like a separate room with familiar items. I let them explore gradually, supervising interactions with other pets or family members. Patience is key. Offering treats and praise helps build positive associations. Over time, the newcomer and the existing household usually adjust to each other.
Where is the most memorable place you visited?
I once visited a small town in the mountains. The scenery was breathtaking, with clear lakes and winding trails surrounded by towering trees. The locals were welcoming, and their stories gave me insight into their unique traditions. Exploring hidden paths felt like stepping into a fairy tale. It remains one of my most magical travel experiences.
Have you ever taken an online course? How was it?
Yes, I took an online course on graphic design. It was flexible because I could watch lessons at my convenience. However, self-discipline was crucial since there were no strict deadlines. The forums allowed me to ask questions and learn from classmates. Overall, it was rewarding, but it required careful time management and motivation.
Have you ever done a DIY project at home?
Yes, I built a simple wooden shelf for my bedroom. It was a bit challenging to measure and cut the wood correctly, but the sense of accomplishment was worth it. I learned about basic tools and how to stain the wood for a nice finish. It's satisfying to see something I made with my own hands every day.
How do you celebrate personal achievements?
I acknowledge the work I put in by doing something I enjoy, like treating myself to a special meal or spending extra time on a hobby. I also share my success with close friends or family. Recognizing achievements, even minor ones, reinforces positive behavior and boosts confidence. It's important to appreciate the journey as well as the result.
Have you ever tried guided meditation or mindfulness?
Yes, I've experimented with short guided exercises that encourage me to focus on my breathing and sensations in my body. It's surprisingly effective at reducing stress and refocusing my thoughts. Even doing it for a few minutes can bring calm. While it's not always easy to remain still, the long-term benefits are definitely worth the effort.
How do you adapt to unfamiliar foods when traveling?
I start by trying small portions. I'll ask locals or servers for recommendations or explanations about the dish. Often, understanding the ingredients makes it feel less intimidating. I also carry snacks I'm familiar with in case the local cuisine doesn't agree with me. Being open-minded helps me experience the culture more fully, including its flavors.
What financial advice would you give your younger self?
I'd tell my younger self to start investing as early as possible, even if it's a small amount. Compound interest adds up significantly over time. Also, I'd advise creating a realistic budget and building an emergency fund. Learning basic financial principles in my 20s would have made life much less stressful later on.
How do you practice self-reflection?
I set aside a few minutes each day to consider my actions, decisions, and feelings. Sometimes I write my thoughts in a journal, analyzing what went well and what I could improve. Reflecting helps me understand my motivations and learn from mistakes. It's not always comfortable, but it's an essential part of personal growth.
What's a fun activity to do with friends on the weekend?
I love hosting game nights where everyone brings their favorite board or card game. We set up snacks and divide into teams if needed. It's interactive, affordable, and offers plenty of laughs. Sometimes we switch up the location or choose a theme to make it even more exciting. It's a simple way to bond over friendly competition.
What's a creative hobby you've always wanted to try?
I've always wanted to try painting. I find it fascinating how colours blend and evoke different moods. Even though I'm not very artistic, I believe it could be a relaxing way to express my feelings. I imagine setting aside an afternoon and letting the brush guide me. It's never too late to discover a new passion.
Have you ever taken a break from social media?
Yes, I once deactivated my accounts for a month. I wanted to see if it would reduce stress and help me focus on other interests. It was surprising how much extra time I found. While I miss staying in touch with friends online, I appreciated the mental clarity. Eventually, I returned, but learned to use it more mindfully.
How do you stay engaged during long meetings?
I take brief notes and ask questions when possible. Active listening keeps me mentally involved, and writing down key points helps me remember important details. If there's a break, I'll stand up and stretch to keep my energy up. Staying hydrated also helps me remain focused. Small actions can make lengthy meetings more productive.
Have you ever turned a hobby into a side business?
Yes, I started selling handmade candles after experimenting with different scents and designs. At first, it was just for fun, but friends kept asking for more. Eventually, I set up an online shop. It taught me about marketing, pricing, and customer service. Combining creativity with entrepreneurship was challenging but rewarding.
Do you think technology makes life easier or more complicated?
I think it can do both. Technology simplifies everyday tasks like paying bills online or staying connected with loved ones. However, constant notifications and the pressure to be reachable can feel overwhelming. It's important to find balance and use tools in a mindful way. With discipline, technology can be a powerful helper rather than a burden.
Do you prefer planning your day or going with the flow?
I prefer planning my day, but I keep it flexible. Having a simple schedule helps me prioritize important tasks and prevents procrastination. However, I leave room for unexpected events or spontaneous choices. If I'm too strict, I can feel stressed. Balancing structure and spontaneity allows me to be productive while still enjoying surprises.
How do you organize digital files and documents?
I use a cloud storage service with folders labeled for different projects and categories. Every time I create or download a file, I name it clearly and move it to the correct folder. Regularly deleting unnecessary files helps keep things tidy. This system makes searching and sharing documents efficient, and it prevents my computer from becoming cluttered.
How do you prioritize tasks in a busy schedule?
I use the urgent important framework. First, I handle tasks that are both urgent and important. Next, I plan for important tasks that aren't urgent yet. Then, I either delegate or schedule the less important items. This strategy prevents last-minute panic and ensures that I focus on what truly matters. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
Is there a hobby that helps you relax quickly?
Listening to music helps me relax almost instantly. Whether I'm playing a favorite playlist or exploring new genres, it calms my mind. I might sing along, which sometimes lifts my mood. I think music has a unique power to change your emotional state quickly. It's an accessible hobby that requires little preparation or equipment.
Do you learn better alone or with a study group?
I prefer to study alone for understanding complex ideas because I can set my own pace. However, study groups are great for discussion and clarifying confusion. Group sessions also keep me accountable. It's helpful to combine both methods, first learning solo, then reviewing key points with others. Different environments can boost overall comprehension.
How do you keep your pet healthy?
Regular veterinary checkups are crucial, along with a balanced diet appropriate for their age and size. Daily exercise or playtime keeps them physically and mentally stimulated. Keeping up with vaccinations and grooming routines also prevents health issues. I pay attention to any changes in behavior or appetite, as it can signal a problem.
How do you stay motivated during busy mornings?
Busy mornings can be tough, so I try to keep my routine simple. I prepare my clothes and breakfast the night before, which saves time. I also listen to energizing music while getting ready. This helps me start the day with a positive mindset. It helps me avoid feeling rushed and keep stress levels low.
What role does body language play in communication?
Body language conveys tone and emotion without words. Maintaining good posture, making eye contact, and having an open stance show confidence and respect. Facial expressions also reveal how we feel. If there's a mismatch between words and body language, it can confuse the message. Paying attention to both helps ensure more effective and authentic communication.
How do you communicate with someone who has different opinions?
I start by acknowledging their perspective, even if I disagree. Then I calmly share my view, focusing on facts and reasoning rather than emotions. I avoid personal attacks or defensive language. If the conversation gets heated, taking a moment to regroup helps. The aim isn't to win, but to find a respectful middle ground or agree to disagree.
Is there a household chore you actually enjoy?
I enjoy washing the dishes. It might seem strange, but I find the warm water and soap soothing. It gives me a chance to think about my day or listen to a short podcast. Plus, seeing a clean kitchen afterward is satisfying. Sometimes, doing a small chore can feel like a break from more mentally demanding tasks.
How do you handle setbacks or failures?
I allow myself some time to feel disappointed, but then I shift focus to what can be learned. I find it helpful to identify specific steps I could do differently next time. Talking to someone I trust often brings clarity, and it reminds me that everyone faces setbacks. Failing forward is part of growth.
What's your approach to hosting guests overnight?
I first make sure there's clean bedding and enough blankets. I also stock the bathroom with essentials like fresh towels and extra toiletries. Providing a small welcome gesture, like a snack or a note, sets a friendly tone. I ask about any dietary preferences if I'm planning meals. A little thoughtfulness ensures guests feel comfortable and cared for.
What's your favorite comfort food for cold days?
On a chilly day, I love a warm bowl of chicken soup with vegetables. There's something soothing about the steaming broth and tender ingredients. Sometimes I add noodles or rice for extra substance. It reminds me of home and makes me feel cozy inside. It's a classic dish that never fails to comfort me.
Do you track every purchase you make?
Yes, I use a simple spreadsheet to track expenses. Even small purchases like coffee go on it. This habit makes me more aware of my spending patterns. When I see the totals, I can decide where to cut back or invest more. It's sometimes tedious, but it's an eye-opening way to manage money responsibly.
How do you find inspiration for new hobbies?
I often check social media or talk to friends about their interests. Watching short tutorial videos or attending local workshops also sparks ideas. Sometimes seeing someone else's passion can motivate me to give it a try. It's all about staying curious. You never know what you might end up loving if you don't explore.
Do you prefer working out alone or with others?
It depends on my mood. Working out alone lets me focus on my own pace and goals. Sometimes, though, exercising with friends can be motivating and more fun. We can encourage each other and turn it into a social event. Both approaches have benefits, so I switch between them as needed.
What's a topic you've become passionate about through learning?
I became passionate about environmental conservation after reading several articles and books on the topic. Understanding the impact of pollution and climate change motivated me to make personal lifestyle changes. I also began volunteering for local cleanup events. Learning about the environment sparked a deeper sense of responsibility and a desire to protect our planet.
Which kitchen tool do you find most indispensable?
I can't live without a good quality chef's knife. It makes chopping vegetables and meats much easier and faster. A sharp knife helps maintain the texture and flavor of fresh ingredients. Whether I'm slicing tomatoes or cutting herbs, a reliable knife is the foundation of efficient cooking. It's a true time saver in the kitchen.
What's your favorite low-impact exercise?
I enjoy swimming because it's gentle on the joints while giving a full-body workout. The water supports your weight, reducing stress on muscles and bones. I can adjust the intensity by changing my stroke or pace. It's also refreshing and can help clear my mind. Overall, it's a great way to stay active without high impact.
How do you measure your productivity at the end of the day?
I reflect on what I accomplished versus what I planned. Did I complete my key tasks? I also ask if I spent my time effectively or if I got sidetracked. Sometimes I look at how much progress I made on long-term goals. If I feel satisfied with my efforts, I consider it a productive day, even if everything wasn't finished.
Which healthy snack do you reach for when you're hungry?
When I'm hungry between meals, I often choose apple slices with peanut butter. It's a simple, tasty combination that offers a balance of protein, fiber, and natural sweetness. Preparing it takes only a minute, and it's more satisfying than sugary snacks. I like that it's both refreshing and filling without being too heavy.
How do you manage language barriers in foreign countries?
I learn basic phrases like greetings, thank you, and how much before I go. If I get stuck, I use gestures, phone translation apps, or show pictures. Locals usually appreciate the effort, even if my pronunciation isn't perfect. A friendly smile can bridge many gaps. Embracing the challenge makes the experience more memorable.
What do you do to recharge after a demanding workday?
I usually transition by taking a short walk or preparing a simple meal. Then I spend time on a relaxing activity, like listening to music or reading. I avoid checking emails after a certain time to create mental boundaries. This winding down ritual helps me let go of work stress and recharge for the next day.
What's your method for remembering new information?
I use active recall and spaced repetition. First, I try to recall facts or concepts from memory without looking at my notes. Then, I review them after a short break. Repeating this process over days or weeks strengthens my memory. Writing summaries or teaching the material to someone else also helps solidify knowledge.
Do you follow cooking recipes strictly or improvise?
I often see recipes as a starting point. I'll follow the main steps but adjust seasonings or swap ingredients based on what I have. For instance, if I don't have onions, I might use scallions. Cooking becomes more fun when you add your personal touch. It also helps you learn how flavors blend together.
Do you plan your week in advance?
Yes, every Sunday I create a rough outline of goals and appointments for the week. I review any deadlines, schedule essential tasks, and reserve time for rest. This overview helps me anticipate busy days and avoid double booking. Of course, unexpected things happen, but having a framework makes it easier to adjust without feeling overwhelmed.
Have you ever repaired a friendship after a conflict?
Yes, and it took honest communication and forgiveness. We openly discussed what went wrong and how both sides felt. We acknowledged our mistakes and promised to respect each other's boundaries. It wasn't easy, but rebuilding trust was possible because we cared about the relationship. Over time, we moved forward, and our friendship became stronger.
Do you prefer living alone or with others?
Both have advantages. Living alone offers freedom and privacy, letting me set my own routines. Sharing a home with others can be more social and cost-effective, but it requires good communication and compromise. Personal preference often depends on life stage or personality. I've enjoyed both arrangements for different reasons.
What helps you stay organized in a small living space?
I use vertical storage solutions, like shelves and wall-mounted hooks, to maximize space. I also declutter regularly, donating or selling items I no longer need. Multifunctional furniture, like a bed with built-in drawers, helps keep belongings neat. Keeping everything in its place reduces visual chaos. A smaller space forces me to be intentional about every purchase.
How do you handle misunderstandings in conversations?
I try to clarify as soon as I realize there's a misunderstanding. I'll rephrase my words or ask the other person to restate their perspective. If emotions are running high, I suggest taking a brief pause. Approaching the issue calmly and focusing on facts often clears confusion. The goal is to find common ground and mutual clarity.
Do you prefer visiting famous attractions or exploring off the beaten path?
I like a mix of both. Famous attractions often hold historical or cultural significance, but they can be crowded. Exploring off the beaten path gives me a more authentic glimpse of local life. It's exciting to discover places that aren't in every guidebook. Balancing well-known sites with hidden gems makes each trip fulfilling.
How do you handle social anxiety in large gatherings?
I usually arrive early and find a comfortable spot. I take a few minutes to breathe and remind myself that most people feel a bit nervous too. Focusing on one person at a time helps. I ask open-ended questions to keep conversations flowing. If I need a break, I step outside briefly. Being gentle with myself is essential.
How do you make healthy habits stick?
I start by setting small, specific goals, like drinking a glass of water each morning or walking for 10 minutes daily. I track my progress and celebrate little wins. Over time, these habits become part of my routine. It's easier to maintain smaller changes than to attempt big overhauls all at once.
What's your favorite way to listen to music?
I use a streaming service on my phone. I create playlists for different moods, like calm study times or energetic workouts. The ability to discover new artists through recommended tracks is a bonus. Sometimes I still enjoy physical CDs or vinyl records for a nostalgic experience. Overall, streaming gives me convenience and variety at my fingertips.
How do you stay consistent with fitness routines?
I schedule workouts into my calendar as non-negotiable appointments. Consistency is easier when I treat exercise like any important task. I also vary my workouts to avoid boredom and keep myself challenged. Sometimes I set short-term goals, like increasing the number of push-ups. Having something to aim for keeps me on track.
Do you have a favorite animal movie or documentary?
Yes, I really enjoyed a documentary about rescued elephants. It was inspiring to see how they were cared for after facing difficult lives. It showed me how intelligent and emotional these animals can be. Watching it reinforced my belief in the importance of wildlife conservation. Documentaries like that broaden my understanding and empathy for animals.
What's your approach to making new friends?
I'm open to meeting people in everyday situations, like at work or local events. I start with friendly conversation, asking simple questions to learn about them. If we share a common interest, I suggest doing something together. I find that genuine curiosity and kindness lay the foundation for meaningful connections. It all begins with a smile.
How do you handle workplace conflicts?
I approach conflicts by trying to understand the other person's perspective first. Then, I express my own viewpoint calmly and respectfully. Finding common ground or a compromise is usually the next step. Effective communication can resolve many issues. If needed, I'll involve a neutral third party. The key is to stay professional and solution-focused.
What do you find most rewarding about your job?
The most rewarding aspect is seeing the positive impact of my work. Whether it's helping a client achieve goals or solving a team challenge, results are satisfying. Knowing that my efforts make a difference motivates me. It's not just about earning a salary, it's about feeling like you're part of something meaningful and beneficial.
When do you think it's worth splurging?
I believe it's worth splurging on experiences that enrich life or items that last a long time. For example, I might pay extra for a high-quality mattress or a special trip with friends. If something supports my well-being or creates lasting memories, it's often a good investment. The key is to spend thoughtfully, not impulsively.
What's your stance on adopting versus buying pets?
I believe adoption is a wonderful choice because it helps animals in shelters find loving homes. It often saves a life and reduces overpopulation. However, I understand some people prefer specific breeds for health or behavioral reasons. Whatever the choice, responsible ownership is what matters. Research planning and commitment are essential before bringing any pet home.
How do you show appreciation to your close friends?
I try to check in regularly, asking about their day or offering help if they need it. Small gestures like writing a thoughtful note or remembering birthdays also matter. Sometimes I plan surprise get-togethers or treat them to a homemade meal. Consistency and sincerity are key. Genuine efforts show I value their presence in my life.
How do you manage household expenses?
I set a monthly budget that includes rent, utilities, groceries, and a buffer for surprises. I track each bill's due date and set reminders to pay on time. Using energy-saving devices and being mindful of water usage also helps cut costs. Sharing expenses with housemates or family can lighten the load as long as everyone collaborates.
How do you keep learning fun?
I vary my resources, like watching videos, reading articles, and doing hands-on projects. Sometimes I challenge myself with quizzes or games that test what I've learned. Mixing up the format keeps me from getting bored. I also set small, achievable targets so I can celebrate progress along the way. This approach makes learning more enjoyable.
What habit has changed your life the most?
Practicing gratitude daily has made the biggest difference. I take a moment each morning to list things I'm thankful for. Focusing on positives, no matter how small, sets a bright tone for the day. It also helps me maintain perspective when problems arise. This simple shift in mindset can lead to greater happiness and resilience.